Hello Internet Allies, how are you doing? So, because this month is Pride Month, I kind of wanted to make a little video talking about something I've basically discovered about myself. So basically at the start of this year, I was questioning my sexuality, and what this made me do, this made me maybe research different sexualities and what they mean. And I think the one I identify the most with is pansexual. So today I kind of want to talk to you guys about what pansexual means to me and basically my story so far with it. So here we go. So first of all, I need to kind of talk to you guys about what I believe pansexual to be and what it means to me and why I feel I identify as pansexual. For me, pansexual is basically being attracted to anybody regardless of what gender they are or what they identify themselves as. A few ways I've heard this summed up really well is when my friend Amy, she kind of described it as basically just like loving anybody for who they are, which I totally agree with, which I think definitely sums up how I feel. And also, I remember reading an article earlier this year about Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, and Jean Grey in Dark Phoenix. And I think she said something like, I think it was headlined, "I love a soul, not a gender." And I definitely think that's what describes me as well. I mean, I don't really know whether or not Sophie Turner is pansexual herself, but I think that kind of basically sounds like what kind of sums up being pansexual sort of thing. I do kind of believe that I have a soulmate somewhere in the world, and I don't really think it really matters what gender that person is. So speaking of famous people like Sophie Turner, I want to come and talk about a few other celebrities who identify themselves as pansexual. There is Miley Cyrus for a start, and Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. So they all identify as pansexual, which I think is great. I think it's great seeing more representation in the media of different sexualities and stuff like that. And I think it definitely needs to grow and needs to continue. So now I kind of want to tell you a bit about my story of being pansexual and basically how I came to realizing that about myself. So I suppose in a way I've always known I'm not 100% straight, and I feel like for the longest time I've kind of suppressed this. Basically, probably just out of fear of what other people think, I think, really, to be honest. And yeah, that was really tricky for me. And when I ended up telling my close friends and immediate family, I mean, this is the first time I've really publicly mentioned anything about this outside of my close friends and immediate family. I think when I first mentioned this and when I first realised I was pansexual, I think a great freedom was felt, I think, from me. It felt like I could be a lot more myself and a lot more who I am sort of thing, and I don't really need to feel bad about being attracted to anyone really sort of thing. And I don't need to feel bad about liking people's pictures on Instagram and stuff. So there's that. I was questioning my sexuality around about end of last year, start of this year, when I started developing like a romantic crush on another guy, and this is probably the first time I've ever really felt romantically attracted to a guy, or really anybody for that matter. For the purposes of this video and for the purposes of confidentiality and whatnot, I'm going to call this person that I'm attracted to Tim. Okay, so his name's not actually Tim. I do actually know a few people called Tim. I promise you it's none of them, but that's the name I'm just going to go for. And this person, they know who they are. I did actually recently tell them how I felt about them. So I recently told Tim how I felt about him. And yeah, I'd like to think we had a pretty mature conversation about basically my feelings and attractions towards Tim. And long story short, I think at the moment, because of the situation that they're in, I don't think that he could really commit to a relationship at the moment. And yeah, I think there's certain things in my life I need to sort out as well before I commit to a relationship myself. I do think that Tim, like, did seem a little bit unsure about how he felt about me, which I suppose is okay, it's fine, like, and whatnot, you know. I mean, I think, as I say, he's not particularly ready for a relationship as of yet because of the situation he's in. That's absolutely fine. I think, you know, what he said was that I don't want to say I do like you, I don't want to say I don't like you. You know, I kind of just want to keep that open mind and stuff, really, and stuff like that. Like, so basically, when my situation improves, maybe then we could maybe try something, and maybe one day we will, like when the situation improves, maybe. I think what's nice is that he didn't like rule it out at all. Um, you know, I think, you know, we can still continue to be like really, really good friends, whatever happens, which, you know, is great because, you know, I was really worried about telling Tim how I felt because, yeah, basically because I didn't really want to ruin whatever friendship we had because, like, especially over the past few months, we've got quite close, I feel, as friends. So, you know, I didn't really want to ruin that at all. And I hope in this video it doesn't get ruined at all. I mean, actually, the funny thing is that, like, I think Tim actually figured out how I felt about him before I actually told him. I think it was basically like around my birthday when he kind of figured something out. So, you know, which is kind of fair enough, really, and stuff, really. So, yeah, I think basically, yeah, hopefully I don't make things too obvious about who I'm talking about, but you know, I think what attracts me to Tim is, I don't know, I think, you know, he seems very adventurous and free spirited, and I just feel like he's just super interesting and we have so much in common. He's great, he's a lot of fun. And he actually did help me to basically come out as pansexual, and he was one of the first people I told as well. So I did really appreciate that. And, you know, I think it was definitely a very bold move for me to basically tell him, well, first of all, tell him I'm pansexual, and secondly, tell Tim how I felt. I definitely think telling Tim how I felt and telling, well, my close friends and immediate family how I felt and telling everybody I was pansexual was definitely a huge freedom for me. You know, I hate keeping things to myself, keeping like important things to myself. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to mention in this video is just basically like some advice I'd give to people who might be questioning their sexuality or kind of worrying about coming out, like how to tell people or whatever. I think the best way to do this is basically just start by telling a select few people that you trust. You know, I'd preferably do it like face to face. I think sometimes telling people via text or via phone or via email or whatever, like, I think sometimes, not that it's impersonal, but like, it's, yeah, you don't really get the kind of tones of voices and reactions and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's quite hard to tell those kind of things, I think, sometimes. Start by telling a select few people you trust if you can, preferably in person. I mean, definitely with some of my friends, like, I couldn't tell them in person because some of them like live far away and whatnot. So basically, I did have to like send them a message saying, "Look, this is basically what's happening at the moment with me." And again, they were all super supportive and stuff. So basically, tell people in person if you can. If it's not an option, then yeah, tell them by message, basically. I wouldn't tell people in public until you told like all your close friends and immediate family first or whatever, or just people you trust. Basically, be careful and also only basically start telling people when you're ready to do so as well. You know, like, don't put yourself under that pressure to figure yourself out. I definitely think that it's important, basically, health and happiness comes first. And yeah, just only start telling people when you're ready. So yeah, thanks guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope this video was somewhat useful to some of you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you guys end up doing. And until next time, please, bye. Bye-bye.